You ever get a message so disgusting, so soul-splitting, that your hands go numb and your heart starts pounding like it's trying to claw its way out of your chest? That was me Friday night. I was sitting in the driveway, engine off, keys still in the ignition, just staring at my phone. A video had just come through. No warning, no words, just a video. From my wife, Lindsay. She was on my yacht. Not just lounging, no, laughing. Champagne in hand, sunglasses on, and sitting next to some shirtless guy with abs like a Calvin Klein model. One of those slicked-up, arrogant grins plastered across his smug face. "This is our yacht now," she said to the camera. Her lips curled into this cold, poisonous smile. "And soon your house will be ours too." She winked. The video ended. I didn't blink. I smirked. I don't know why. Some part of my brain broke, probably. Some dark, sarcastic voice inside me muttered, "She really thought I'd let this slide?" I turned the key. The engine roared. I drove. Not home. Not to the police. Straight to the coast. Because what Lindsay forgot is that the yacht was only the first piece. She didn't know about the speedboat. I bought it last year. Kept it under a fake name. It was a gift to myself. A backup plan. The moment I pulled the cover off it and saw that baby shine under the moonlight, I felt alive again. 10 minutes later, I was slicing through the waves. Wind in my face, salt biting my lips. I wasn't thinking. I wasn't planning. I was running on something darker than anger. Something colder than betrayal. This wasn't just about a marriage. This was war. As the yacht came into view, my yacht, I slowed down. Killed the lights. Let the water carry me silently toward the deck. I could see them now. Lindsay and her boy toy, still laughing. Her heels were off, her legs draped across his lap. He was feeding her strawberries. You think that's cliché? Try watching it when the strawberries were meant for your anniversary. I climbed aboard like a ghost. Barefoot. Silent. They didn't hear a thing until I stepped into the light. The guy's face drained of color. He looked like he'd seen a damn ghost. "Lindsay?" She blinked like I was a bad dream that hadn't gone away. "You forgot one thing?" I said. My voice calm. Too calm. "This yacht isn't yours. It never was." She stood up, brushing her hair back like that would fix anything. "Nick? Babe, what are you doing here?" "I can explain." I laughed. I actually laughed. "Oh, I bet you can." She looked at me like I was the problem. Like I was the crazy one. Like she had a right to be angry. "This is just a misunderstanding," she said, stepping forward, trying to touch my arm. I pulled back. "You sent me a video," I said slowly, like I was explaining math to a child. "From my own yacht, laughing with this clown, telling me you were coming for my house next. And now you want to call it a misunderstanding?" Her face snapped. The fake concern melted. And there she was, the real Lindsay. Cold, cruel, smirking now. "Yeah, I sent it," she said, voice icy. "You've been too boring for too long, Nick. I needed someone who made me feel alive again." I stared at her. This woman I'd loved for 9 years. The one who used to cry in my arms when her mother called her a failure. The one who once whispered she couldn't breathe without me. Now she was telling me I was boring. In front of the human protein shake she'd been playing house with. "You've been plotting this," I said. "All of it." She crossed her arms. "Of course I have. You thought I married you for your charming personality? Please. I've been waiting for the right moment to take what I'm owed." The guy finally spoke. "Man, just walk away. You lost. Don't make this ugly." I turned to him, smiled. "You think this is ugly?" I whispered. "You haven't seen ugly yet." They both froze. I let the silence stretch. Let the tension claw at them. Then I walked away. Calm, measured. Like I hadn't just seen my entire life rip in half. But as I left the yacht and stepped back into the night, I wasn't thinking about divorce. I wasn't thinking about heartbreak. I was thinking about revenge. They say hindsight is 20/20, but when you're in it, when you're living the betrayal, everything feels like static. But once I saw that video, everything snapped into place like shards of broken glass forming a perfect picture. All the signs had been there. All the red flags I ignored because I trusted her. because I was blind enough to believe that love meant loyalty. The first change was subtle. Lindsay started staying late at work. She's in PR, which I always thought meant client dinners and late-night Zoom calls with influencers. So when she came home at 10 p.m. smelling like expensive cologne I didn't wear, I just assumed it was part of the job. Dumb, right? She also started dressing differently. Less subtle, more skin. I used to love how modest she dressed. Classy, elegant. But suddenly it was crop tops, high heels, dresses that barely covered her thighs. I made a joke about it once and she snapped back, "Maybe I'm just tired of dressing like a housewife." That stung. Still, I let it go. Then there was the gym. Lindsay hated working out. I bought us a home gym during the pandemic. She used it twice. But out of nowhere, she was waking up at 6 a.m. to hit the gym before work. Said she needed to clear her head. I offered to go with her once. She laughed in my face. Said I'd just slow her down. Her phone became a second limb. Always in her hand. Always locked. She used to leave it lying around. Now, she'd panic if I so much as looked at it too long. I asked her once, jokingly, "Got any secrets in there?" She smiled and said, "Plenty. You just wouldn't understand them." Again, I let it slide. The worst part? I actually believed I was the problem. I started working more, buying her gifts, planning trips. I thought maybe I wasn't being attentive enough. Maybe I'd let the spark die. Meanwhile, she was out there relighting it with someone else. One night, I came home early from a client dinner. I wasn't supposed to be back until 11, but the meeting wrapped early. As I walked into the house, I heard giggling from the backyard. I peeked out the kitchen window and saw her, barefoot, wearing one of my dress shirts, drinking wine on the patio. She was alone, talking on her phone. I couldn't hear the words, but her tone, it wasn't for me. It was playful, girlish, dripping with flirtation. She hadn't spoken to me like that in months. I stayed hidden and listened. "I told him the trip got extended," she whispered, laughing. "Yeah, I'm using his robe right now. You'd like that, huh?" I clenched my fists. Something inside me cracked, but I didn't say a word. I walked back to the driveway, started the car, and drove around the block. Waited 30 minutes. Then came back through the front door, slamming it like I just arrived. She greeted me with a yawn and a fake stretch. "Long day?" she asked sweetly, like nothing had happened. I looked at her perfect act, her lies wrapped in perfume, and said, "Yeah, exhausting." From that night on, I watched more carefully. The hotel receipts, the Uber trips charged to my account, the sudden love for boat rides, even though she always claimed to get seasick. She wasn't even good at hiding it anymore. That's what really burned. She didn't care if I found out. She wanted me to. She wanted me to know she'd won, that she'd played me. But she didn't know me as well as she thought. Because I wasn't just watching. I was planning. And when that video landed in my inbox, her final spit in my face, I knew exactly what had to happen. She thought she broke me, but she just flipped the switch. You think you know how you'll react when you catch someone cheating, especially the person you built your damn life around. But let me tell you something straight. Nothing prepares you for the moment you're face to face with a liar who doesn't even pretend to be sorry. It happened the morning after the yacht ambush. I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling, the taste of salt and betrayal still on my tongue. At around 6 a.m., I got in my car and drove home. She wasn't there yet. I figured she was too busy playing house with her golden boy to bother coming back. But at 7:48 a.m., I heard the keys. She walked in like nothing happened. Sunglasses on, hair a mess, heels in her hand. She looked at me and froze like a raccoon caught in a trash can. "Nick," she said, her voice tight, "you're up early." I stood in the kitchen, arms crossed, coffee untouched on the counter. I didn't answer. She tried to keep walking, heading toward the stairs. "I'm gonna take a shower." "Don't bother," I said coldly. She stopped. "Excuse me?" I took a deep breath. "You're not staying here." She laughed, like I'd told a joke. "What the hell are you talking about?" "I saw the video, Lindsay. The yacht. The strawberries. Your little declaration about my house being ours soon too. The smile disappeared. Her mouth opened, then closed again. You broke into the yacht? She said finally, trying to sound offended. I blinked. You're upset that I came to my own yacht after you filmed yourself with another man on it? She rolled her eyes. It's not what it looks like. I slammed my palm on the counter so hard the cup rattled. Don't insult me with that bull. She crossed her arms, shifting into full venom mode. Fine. You want to know the truth? She snapped. Yeah, I cheated. Yeah, I've been seeing Jake. And you know what? He treats me better than you ever did. At least he listens. At least he doesn't bury himself in work every damn day. I felt that like a punch to the chest. The gaslighting of it. Like I'd driven her into his arms by trying to build us a future. I gave you everything, I said quietly. Everything. The house. The yacht. Every piece of comfort you ever asked for. And you threw it away for some biceps and a tan? She laughed again. Cruel this time. No, Nick. I threw it away because I was bored. Because you turned into a checklist husband. Because I was tired of you asking me how my day was like it actually mattered. I stared at her, unable to speak. Her words hit harder than any slap. You disgust me, I finally said. You're standing in the house you said you wanted to raise kids in, and now you're talking to me like I'm the burden. Oh, grow up, she snapped. You think you're the only man this has ever happened to? Cry me a river. You'll be fine. You always are. She turned to go upstairs. You're not staying here, I repeated. Take your things and leave. She paused. You can't kick me out of this house. My name's on it too. I smiled. Not anymore. Her eyes narrowed. What the hell does that mean? I walked to the drawer, pulled out a folder, and dropped it on the table. Signed. Witnessed. Processed. You were too busy getting hand-fed strawberries to notice the notary visit. You don't own this house anymore. She flipped it open, eyes scanning the documents. Her face went pale. You bastard. You're the one who lit the match, Lindsay. I just let it burn. She stood there, lips trembling, mascara smudged under her eyes, and for once, she had nothing to say. Pack, leave, and tell your little gym buddy I said, good luck. You're his problem now. She didn't scream, didn't cry. She just walked up the stairs and slammed the bedroom door. I stood there in silence, feeling like I'd aged 10 years. It wasn't victory. It wasn't closure. It was just the beginning. After Lindsay slammed that bedroom door, silence swallowed the house. It wasn't peaceful, it was suffocating. The kind of silence that doesn't calm you, but sits on your chest like a weight, reminding you every second that the life you thought you had never really existed. I didn't move. I just stood there, staring at the folder I'd dropped on the table. Her name gone. Her rights revoked. Legally, it was clean. Emotionally, I felt like I'd just amputated a part of myself. But it was poisoned, rotting. Keeping it would have killed me slowly. She stayed upstairs for an hour. I heard drawers opening, things being tossed around, the occasional frustrated thump against the wall. I guess packing is harder when you're dragging your ego with you. I didn't check on her. Couldn't. Every time I pictured her with him, touching him, laughing with him, giving him what was supposed to be mine, it was like shards of glass slicing through my lungs. She came down with 2 bags. Didn't even look at me. Walked past me like I was a ghost. I followed her to the door, not because I cared anymore, but because I needed to see it happen. I needed that moment burned into my memory, the moment the lies walked out of my house. She turned at the threshold, eyes colder than I'd ever seen. You're going to die alone, Nick, she said, flat and venomous. I didn't blink. Better alone than beside someone who smiles while stabbing me in the back. She didn't respond, just stepped outside, slammed the door behind her, and that was it. Gone. I wish I could tell you I felt relief, or power, or even satisfaction, but I didn't. I felt hollow, like I'd been carved out and left behind. The next few days blurred. I worked from home, ignored texts from friends, let calls go to voicemail. The silence in the house was different now, deeper, darker. Every corner felt haunted by her voice, her scent, her laugh. I found her hairbrush in the bathroom one morning and nearly threw up. At night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of the past 2 years. The way she used to grab my hand under the table, the lazy Sunday mornings, the time she said, "I've never felt safer with anyone else." All of it felt like a con. And the worst part? Couldn't even cry. It's like my body didn't trust me enough to let it out. So I just sat in it, drowning in silence, anger, and shame. One night, I grabbed a bottle of bourbon and sat outside on the deck. The yacht was visible from where I stood, glowing faintly under the harbor lights. She had turned it into a crime scene. He had sat there like he owned it. I took a long sip and whispered, "You don't win, Lindsay. Not this time." And in that moment, something inside me shifted. The grief didn't vanish, but I stopped letting it rule me. I realized I'd been mourning a version of her that never existed. The sweet, loyal wife? That was fiction. What I had was a polished lie with pretty lips and a mean soul. The betrayal didn't break me. It woke me up. She thought she was the storm. Turns out I was the sea. Grief is strange. It doesn't follow a clean timeline, and it sure as hell doesn't care about your plans. One minute you think you've moved on, the next you're triggered by something stupid, like finding her old coffee mug in the cabinet or hearing a song she used to hum while brushing her hair. But grief is also a teacher. And after a week of radio silence, locked doors and quiet fury, I came to a decision. No more mourning. No more self-pity. No more her. I woke up that Monday with clarity. Not peace, I wasn't there yet. But clarity. I opened the blinds, took the damn mug and smashed it in the sink. Vacuumed every corner of the house like I was erasing fingerprints. Stripped the bed. Burned the sheets. Donated the dresses she left behind. And then I went to my lawyer. I walked in, sat down, and dropped a flash drive on his desk. "Videos on there. The one she sent me from the yacht," I said. He plugged it in, watched it once, leaned back with a whistle. "That's bold. Divorce papers ready?" He nodded. "Final draft. Clean. With the assets you moved before the video, she's not touching a dime more." "Good." He paused. "You sure you don't want alimony from her?" "Technically. Given her infidelity and the prenup," I raised a hand. "Let her keep her pride. That's all she has left." That afternoon, I sent the papers through her lawyer. No warning. Just a tidy little package labeled, "Your turn." The silence that followed was almost funny. No call. No text. Not even a snide email. I guess she didn't expect me to be the one ending it. Lindsay always assumed I was too soft to finish what she started. That night, Jake messaged me. Yeah, him. He had the audacity to DM me on Instagram of all places. Said something like, "Hey man, just wanted to say I'm sorry things got messy. Didn't mean to hurt you." I stared at the screen for a long minute. Then I replied, "Congratulations. You inherited a parasite. Don't forget to smile when she bleeds you dry." Blocked him right after. Didn't wait for a response. From that day on, I started rebuilding. I reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in years. Hit the gym again, not to impress anyone, just to feel like me again. I started eating better, sleeping better, laughing again, even if just at dumb movies or awkward small talk with strangers at the grocery store. And then, one Saturday, I went back to the yacht. Not to dwell, not to remember, to reclaim it. I scrubbed it top to bottom, replaced the linens, threw out the wine glasses she'd sipped from, reprogrammed the music system, sat at the bow that night with a cold beer in hand, the water calm beneath me, and whispered to the ocean. She didn't win. That realization hit different, because for weeks, I'd felt like I lost. My marriage, my pride, my vision of the future. But the truth? I dodged a bullet. A beautiful, manipulative, narcissistic bullet. And the more I pulled her roots out of my life, the more I realized how much space she took up in my mind. In my home. In my soul. She wasn't a partner. She was a virus. And I was finally clean. The world reacts differently when a man gets cheated on. Some people treat you like you're pathetic. Others act like you should have seen it coming. And then there are those few, the real ones, who look you in the eye and say, "I'm sorry, brother. That's brutal." When the divorce became public, the silence broke fast. Friends I hadn't heard from in months started messaging me. Some with sympathy, others with curiosity. One guy, Tom, an old college buddy, straight up said, "Man, I always knew she was bad news. I just didn't want to be the one to say it." Thanks, Tom. Real helpful now. Even my mom, who adored Lindsay, baked her pies, treated her like a second daughter, called me crying. "I thought she was good for you," she whispered. "But I never imagined she'd do something so cruel." I told her not to worry. I wasn't the one who lost. Not really. But the biggest twist? Lindsay tried to spin the story. A week after the papers hit her lawyer's desk, she posted a photo on Instagram. Her, standing at some rooftop party, glass of wine in hand, captioned, "New chapter, no regrets." The comments were wild. Her friends, the fake kind, hyped her up like she'd just survived a war. "Proud of you, Queen. You deserve happiness. He never appreciated your shine." I should have ignored it. But you know how it is. When you've been burned that bad, you want the world to know the truth. You want justice. Or at least vindication. So I posted my own photo. Just the yacht. Clean. Polished. Sunset in the background. Caption: "The things she left behind." And the piece that followed. No tags. No names. But people knew. Suddenly, my DMs were flooded. Half the messages were from strangers saying, "Damn, respect." The other half, women, beautiful women, dropping sympathy disguised as interest. I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. But it felt good to know that I wasn't just the guy who got cheated on. I was the guy who got up. But Lindsay? Oh, she wasn't done crashing. Turns out her golden boy, Jake, wasn't so golden after all. 2 months in, he got caught cheating on her with some fitness influencer. Publicly. Sloppily. I'd be lying if I said I didn't smile when I saw the photos. The same way she laughed on my yacht, I laughed at her heartbreak. She tried texting me. "Lindsay, I don't expect anything from you. I messed up. I know that now." I stared at it for a minute. Then I deleted it without replying. Because here's the thing. I wasn't angry anymore. Not really. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want her back. I didn't even want an apology. I just wanted to forget she ever existed. And slowly I was getting there. I picked up old hobbies. Started playing guitar again. Went hiking every weekend. I even started volunteering once a week at a shelter downtown. Not because I wanted good karma, but because doing something real felt healing. Like proof that the world still had genuine people in it. And I talked more. To friends. To strangers. To myself sometimes. Saying things out loud made them easier to carry. I realized I wasn't just rebuilding a life without Lindsay. I was rebuilding myself. Stronger. Smarter. Sharper. And more awake than I'd ever been before. If you asked me back then what I'd say to Lindsay if I ever saw her again, the answer would have been easy. Something brutal, something that would crush her ego into dust. I used to rehearse those lines in my head. "You chose trash over loyalty." Or, "I hope he was worth losing a real man." But the truth is, by the time our paths crossed again, I didn't need to say anything. It was about 3 months after the divorce was finalized. I was at a friend's art exhibit downtown. He'd invited me out because, in his words, "You need to stop hiding and start living." I was standing near the back wall, sipping whiskey from a plastic cup, pretending to understand abstract paintings, when I heard her laugh. That laugh. I froze, turned, and there she was, Lindsay, dressed to kill, of course. Tight black dress, heels high enough to trip God, lips red, hair flawless. She was talking to some older guy in a blazer, the kind who wears confidence like cologne. But when her eyes met mine, the smile slipped. Just for a second. I didn't move, didn't flinch, just held her gaze. She walked over, slowly, like a lion pretending not to be hunting. Nick, she said, trying to sound casual. Lindsay, she smiled. You look different. I feel different. There was a pause. She looked me up and down, like she was trying to figure out how I'd healed without her. Her lips parted like she wanted to ask something. Maybe if I missed her. Maybe if I still hated her. Maybe if I'd take her back. I gave her nothing. Looks like the yacht's still floating, she said. It's cleaner now. That hit her. I saw it in her eyes. Just a flicker of shame trying to fight its way out of her pride. But she swallowed it down like she always did. Jake turned out to be a mess, she said suddenly. Like that explained everything. I shrugged. People like that usually are. She looked around, as if hoping someone would interrupt us. I've been thinking a lot lately about what happened. Don't what? Don't try to rewrite it, I said. You cheated. You lied. You laughed about it while sipping champagne on a boat I paid for. That's not a misunderstanding, Lindsay. That's a choice. She didn't reply. And the worst part? I continued. You didn't just betray me. You disrespected me. You made me feel like a joke in my own story. There it was. The crack. Her lips trembled. For once, she didn't have a comeback. I'm not angry anymore, I said. But I'm done carrying your name around like it means something. You're just a lesson now. She looked like she wanted to cry, but she didn't. She just nodded, whispered, I'm sorry, and turned away. And just like that, she was gone again. But this time, I wasn't hollow. I didn't feel broken or bitter. I felt clean. I stepped outside, took a deep breath of the night air, and smiled for real. Not the fake smile I wore during the marriage, or the bitter one after the video. This one came from somewhere real. That's when I realized, closure doesn't come when they apologize. It comes when you no longer need one. It comes when you see them, the liar, the traitor, the person who tried to make you small, and feel nothing but gratitude. Because they're gone. And you're still standing. They say time heals all wounds. That's not true. Time doesn't heal you, truth does. Action does. Clarity does. What time does is give you the distance to see everything for what it really was. And looking back now, with the storm finally behind me, I can say this without hesitation. Lindsay wasn't a loss. She was a warning. A beautiful, manipulative, smooth-talking warning dressed in perfume and red lipstick. Test one I nearly failed. But I didn't. I survived her. And I came out sharper, smarter, and far more honest with myself than I ever was before her. After that final conversation at the gallery, I changed the way I lived. Not because I wanted to prove something, but because I wanted to feel free. And freedom doesn't mean moving on quickly or jumping into another relationship. It means owning your story, every damn part of it. So I made peace with my mistakes. I forgave myself for missing the signs, for excusing the red flags, for loving a lie. I stopped asking, why did she do this to me? And started asking, why did I let it go on for so long? That's where the healing starts. I relearned who I was without her shadow hanging over me. And to every man reading this or hearing it, let me give you the truth I wish someone had told me. 1. If something feels off, it probably is. Trust your gut, not your fear, not the story she keeps feeding you. Your gut doesn't lie, people do. 2. Loyalty is rare. Don't confuse time spent with trust earned. Some people stay beside you not because they love you, but because you're useful, stable, or easy to manipulate. 3. Never beg for honesty. If someone won't give you the truth willingly, they've already chosen the lie. 4. Don't make her happiness your responsibility. If she's unhappy, she'll go searching for validation. And if she's a coward, she'll find it between someone else's sheets. That's not your failure. That's hers. 5. Document everything. Keep records. Not for revenge. For clarity. For protection. Because when they twist the story, and they will, facts save you from madness. And finally, 6. When it ends, let it. Don't chase, don't beg, don't barter. The moment someone shows you who they are, believe them, and walk, head held high, because nothing, and I mean nothing, is lonelier than sleeping next to someone who already betrayed you in their heart. I rebuilt my life piece by piece, and now every piece is mine. The house? Quiet, clean, full of music I actually like. The yacht? No longer haunted by her laughter. The mornings? Peaceful. The nights? Free of suspicion, silence, or cold shoulders. I've even started dating again. Slowly, carefully. I don't rush. I don't hand out trust like candy anymore. But I also don't hold every new woman responsible for Lindsay's crimes. That's growth. Lindsay, I don't know where she is now. Maybe still chasing attention. Maybe playing house with someone else until he figures her out. Maybe looking in the mirror, wondering how it all slipped through her fingers. But I'm not her problem anymore. And that's the win. Because healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without hurting. And love, real love, can only live where lies used to die. So here I am, stronger, wiser, and no longer carrying her weight. I didn't just survive the betrayal. I outgrew it. And if you're in the middle of your own version of this hell, hear me when I say, you will too. You'll rise. And when you do, she'll just be a chapter in the book you wrote about your comeback. Nick.